Imagine recovering from COVID-19, only to find that the battle isn't over. You've managed to get through the worst of it, fevers, coughs, and fatigue, but something still doesn't feel right. You start noticing that your heart races at the slightest exertion, or that climbing a flight of stairs leaves you more breathless than before. These symptoms might seem minor, easy to brush off, but what if they signal something more serious? This isn't just about feeling tired or getting out of breath. This could be your heart telling you that COVID-19 has left its mark in ways you never expected. The truth is, while COVID-19 primarily attacks the lungs, its effects can linger in other parts of the body, including your heart. And the consequences? They could be life-altering if you don't catch them early. The silent aftermath: how COVID-19 can impact your heart. Let's start with the basics. COVID-19 is a respiratory disease. It attacks the lungs, but your heart is deeply connected to your respiratory system. Your heart needs oxygen-rich blood to function, and when COVID-19 damages the lungs, it disrupts this supply. But that's not the only concern. COVID-19 can also trigger widespread inflammation as your immune system fights off the virus. This inflammation isn't just a side effect, it can directly impact your heart. In some cases, it can cause damage to the heart muscle itself, disrupt the electrical signals that regulate your heartbeat, and even lead to the formation of dangerous blood clots. These clots can block arteries, causing heart attacks or strokes, turning what might have seemed like a minor infection into a life-threatening situation. Not just another statistic, real risks for real people. The numbers paint a worrying picture. COVID-19 has caused over 6.8 million deaths worldwide, with millions more affected in ways that are still being studied. For some, the fight with COVID-19 doesn't end when they leave the hospital, it lingers on, affecting their heart health in ways they never imagined. But here's the thing: not everyone who gets COVID-19 will experience heart damage. Most people recover without long-term issues, but certain groups are at high risk. If you have pre-existing conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, or obesity, your risk of developing heart complications after COVID-19 is significantly higher. Recognizing the warning signs: is your heart at risk? So, how do you know if COVID-19 has affected your heart? Unfortunately, there's no single symptom that screams heart damage. Instead, it's about noticing changes in how you feel over time. Symptoms like persistent breathlessness, chest pain, or heart palpitations could be subtle signs that your heart isn't functioning as it should. Here's a list of symptoms to watch out for. Breathlessness: if you find yourself struggling to catch your breath during activities that used to be easy, it could be a sign that your heart isn't pumping efficiently. Heart palpitations: feeling like your heart is racing or skipping beats could indicate an irregular heartbeat, which might be a sign of underlying heart issues. Chest pain: any kind of chest discomfort, especially if it's new or worsening, should never be ignored. Swelling: notice swelling in your ankles, legs, or feet. This could be a sign of heart failure, where your heart isn't pumping blood as effectively as it should. Fatigue: extreme, persistent tiredness that doesn't seem to go away could be a clue that your heart is struggling to keep up with the demands of your body. Coughing or wheezing: if you're experiencing a constant cough or wheezing that doesn't seem to improve, it could be related to fluid buildup in the lungs, a sign of heart failure. These symptoms might seem like minor inconveniences, but they can be warning signs of something much more serious. And here's the tough part. These symptoms can appear weeks or even months after you've recovered from COVID-19. Heart failure after COVID-19, how common is it? You might be wondering just how likely it is that COVID-19 could cause heart failure. The truth is, it's relatively rare, but that doesn't mean it's something to take lightly. A large study involving over 1.6 million people found that 1.1% of those who had COVID-19 experienced heart failure. While that might sound like a small percentage, the implications are huge. The risk of developing heart failure after COVID-19 is 90% higher within the first 9 months following infection, especially for those with high blood pressure or older adults. Another study with over 150,000 participants found a 72% higher risk of heart failure among those who had COVID-19, even when their symptoms weren't severe enough to require hospitalization. This tells us that even mild cases of COVID-19 can have serious, long-term effects on the heart. What does this mean for your health? So, what does this all mean? Simply put, it means that COVID-19 can leave lasting effects on your heart, even if you didn't have severe symptoms during the initial infection. It also means that if you've had COVID-19, you need to be vigilant about your heart health moving forward. This isn't about scaring you, it's about empowering you with the knowledge you need to take control of your health. If you've had COVID-19 and you're experiencing any of the symptoms we've talked about, don't ignore them. Talk to your healthcare provider. They can help you determine if these symptoms are related to your heart and guide you on the next steps. Looking forward, the road to recovery. The good news is that medical researchers are working tirelessly to understand the full impact of COVID-19 on the heart and to develop strategies to help those affected. As we learn more, treatments will improve, and so will our ability to manage and recover from these long-term effects. In the meantime, focus on what you can do to protect your heart. Stay active. Regular exercise can help strengthen your heart and improve overall cardiovascular health. Eat a heart-healthy diet, focus on whole foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins. Avoid processed foods and excessive salt, which can raise blood pressure. Monitor your health, keep an eye on your symptoms, and don't hesitate to reach out to your doctor if something feels off. Manage chronic conditions. If you have underlying health issues like high blood pressure, diabetes, or obesity, work with your healthcare provider to keep these conditions under control. Conclusion: don't let your guard down. COVID-19 might feel like it's in the rearview mirror, but for some, its effects are far from over. Your heart is one of the most vital organs in your body, and it's worth protecting. By staying informed, paying attention to your body, and taking proactive steps, you can help ensure that your heart stays healthy, long after COVID-19 is gone. Remember, the best way to solve a problem is to prevent it from happening in the first place. So, don't let your guard down, take care of your heart, listen to your body, and seek help when you need it. Your future health depends on the actions you take today.